you have to be willing to suffer to get to the other side. You know, the other side of suffering is a whole nother world that people have no idea that even exists. From the very beginning, how I became who I am today, I grew up very soft, very insecure. I was beat as a child a lot, not only physically, but also mentally. My dad was an alcoholic, so it transferred to him being very abusive, me growing up, not just to me, but also my mother. And from that, my foundation at an early age was cracked. I had no one to really, show me the ropes, show me the way. And so we went from that kind of cracked foundation to another cracked foundation. I went to a small town in Indiana, in Brazil, Indiana. And there was about 5 black families there. So being called nigger, I had a lot of friends, but also, when you have a cracked foundation, the only thing you really see is the negative. You don't see a lot of people that like you. All you see is the people that don't like you. Had a lot of issues with people, social anxiety. I copied all through school. I had learning disability, so I cheated a lot going through school. So my foundation continued to get cracked. And when you get to that point in your life and no one is there to really help you out, you have to figure some things out. So what made me who I am today is basically that cracked foundation and not liking it. So I had to learn how to mend that cracked foundation alone. And what happens is you have to really develop a lot of mental toughness. But to me, mental toughness wasn't enough. I had to really develop a calloused mind. So I had a victim mentality. I was a victim. Everybody messed my life up. My dad, society, my mom, whatever it may be, I was dealt a bad hand. And so it gives you a victim mentality. So I developed a way to get over the victim's mentality. And it was through callousing your mind. So I was literally callousing over the victim's mentality through outworking all my faults. So I developed a work ethic that became known as, what it is now. That's how I got this world toughest man. It's because I'm not the best person in the world. I'm not the smartest. I'm not anything. But I learned to outwork everybody around me. So I don't live a very glamorous life at all. I live very uncomfortable to a lot of people. It's not that I'm broke. It's not that I don't have the means to do it. It's like a boxer. A boxer may have a $4 million house, but before a big fight, he may go away to the mountains for about 2 months to train. Totally secluded, desolate world, may live on a cot, may live on the ground. What that boxer's doing is he's trying to form his mentality. He's trying to get that mentality to a very animalistic state. So when he goes inside that ring, his mentality is ready to do whatever it takes to win that boxing match. So what I realized from my foundation growing up was I had a very soft mind. And I live that way now, like that boxer training for that big fight. I live that way all the time. So I'm always sharpening my sword. So many people call me the hardest man on the planet. I got to that point from having a never-ending work ethic. So the first thing is you got to accept the fact that everybody judging you judging yourself, it is okay. It's not, it's okay to not follow the crowd. So that's the one thing I would tell people is don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Worry about what you're doing. Focus on what you're doing. I stopped comparing myself to everybody else, and I just compare myself to me. I'm my own hero. I'm my own hero. There's very few of us out here who are the 1%ers. And those 1%ers are those people who are like the CEOs, these people who are like the best basketball, the best golfer. Very few people are there. I don't care if I'm the best. It's not about being the hardest man in the world. I came from nothing. But the thing about it is we all have the ability to come from nothing to something. But it takes that kind of spirit. It takes that kind of spirit. The what if mentality is a mentality of a lot of us in this world have people who say we cannot do something. You can't do it, you're too short, you look a certain way, you act a certain way, you're not smart enough. I hit that roadblock every time. I was 300 pounds. I'll never forget, I was 300 pounds. I went from 175 to 300 pounds, and my goal was to be a Navy SEAL. Impossible goal. And every Navy recruiter that saw me said that, besides one. Every recruiter said, there's no way, man. You're 297 pounds, and you gotta lose so much weight so fast. I talked to one recruiter, and I never forget getting back in my truck, and he said, you cannot do this. But I got in my truck and I said to myself, but what if I could? What if I could pull off this miracle? How will I feel at the very end if I can defy all the odds? So I use all their negativity as positivity and fuel to get me to where I need to go. That's been through almost every special ops training in the world, has broke several records, and has continued to grow. So people think I'm crazy because I found a whole nother way of living. I think they're crazy for never even trying to get to the other side of whatever's in front of them. Tripling down on your strengths does one thing to you. It makes you very comfortable. It makes you very strong at what you're good at. So why people have excuses is that's the world they live in. That's why I tell everybody, you cannot fix anything in life until you fix yourself. So do something every day that sucks. Get outside your comfort zone. Triple down on your weaknesses, not your strengths. That's how you grow. That's how you stop making excuses. So my book's coming out December 4th. It's called Can't Hurt Me. So Can't Hurt Me is about life. It's about you. It's about my mentality, but you get to develop your own mentality. If you say, you can't hurt me, can't hurt me. Every time I got my ass kicked in everything I did, whether it be a fight or a test or going through SEAL training or Ranger school, can't hurt me, can't hurt me, can't hurt me. So a lot of people want to know what I say to myself when I'm out here doing these long events, my self-talk. Well, I tell myself, back in the day, I was the weakest person that God ever created. That's what I thought. I made this man to be the hardest man God ever created. That's what I tell myself. I tell myself I'm the hardest man that God ever created. Is it true? I don't care if it's true or not. I believe it. Self-talk without the work is just lies. So when I'm telling myself I'm the hardest man on the planet, when I'm in the worst situation possible, I'm going back to the 3 hours I put into training every day. I'm going back to the 3 a.m. wake-up call, looking at my running shoes thinking, God, dog, 75 days in a row, no days off, running 15 miles a day. So when I'm in that horrible spot and I'm talking to myself, I'm also recalling all the training sessions, all the years, all the hard work. So when I talk to myself that way, that self-talk is real. It's not lies. Because if you're taking a test in school and you haven't studied for it, and you say, I'm gonna pass this test, chances are you're gonna fail it because you haven't put the time in to get the result of passing. So self-talk is huge, but putting the work in is bigger. You wanna be a practitioner in life. Be a guy who goes out there and actually does the work. Put yourself in situations. Like when I was going through Hell Week, I got to see where my mind was. It's 130 hours. Hell Week's 130 hours. At hour 48, 72, your mind is a mess. You're all over the place. When it's 50-degree water, everybody's quitting, snot's coming out your nose. That's how you really start to figure out what the mind and body are capable of. Don't read a book about it. Don't read what some man wrote. Put yourself in the environment. See how you start to talk to yourself in the worst times, in the worst situations. And that's how you start to develop that real self-talk, that real visualization, the real tools to get through those hard times. You have to be willing to suffer to get to the other side. And on the other side of suffering is a whole nother world that people have no idea that even exists.